Dane, you have like the longest index finger of all time.
I don't think I've ever noticed how long it is.
Is that the pointer finger?
Is it?
It's yeah.
Whoa, it's almost just as long as my middle finger is. Do you see that?
That's crazy. I feel
I'm
like
comparing to Josh's right now.
Yeah.
We got the same finger.
Yeah.
Don't
does,
we?
No, dude.
but does yours have like an extra joint?
Why?
Is it like the way it was like all
does.
bent to push the button?
Yeah.
It seemed very extra.
It bends the way it's needed. So I think like if my finger's straight, like no joints, like they just kind of blend into the whole bone there.
Yeah.
But what about those sneaky joints on the top of your fingies like that, wherever you got those double joints like my fingers are, where you can just take them and just
do the very tip of it.
No, I can't do
I don't
that.
like, that hurts.
I can't do that without moving. I mean,
can't-
I can get the
I
the
can't even.
claw.
I'm a weird dude.
I can't even do that to get to my walnut.
I didn't know you had a walnut tree. Well, if you ever need my long finger to get to your walnut, then let me know because you're going to need those.
That's how you
The
get them
helpful
buried
friend.
nice and deep.
Every now and then, you just need it tested and checked, Make sure it's supple or something.
And in 100 years, there will be a fertile tree grown where that walnut was shoved.
all thanks to my finger.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Superwoo.
Super woo!
Superwoo!
Superwoo!
Brought to you by Superwoo.
Hey everybody, I'm Dane Holland.
I'm Austin Shazam Pfeiffer.
Today I'm here and I'm not Marcus. My name's Josh Qualls. Hi.
And I'm Austin Tiny Zent.
And we are Nerd It Through the Grapevine, the podcast where four best friends gather weekly to talk about our favorite parts of past, present, and future nerd culture. And Josh, thank you for being here with us.
Best friends and fill-in best friends.
And
You're
for
welcome.
being, yeah, you still count. You still count. You're a guest grape.
Excellent.
We haven't had a guest grape in a really long time, so it's just nice to have that.
I prefer to call them GGs.
Yes, GG.
Well, the only issue I've had at this point is that on my rider that I specifically requested grapes and I still haven't received them. So
I have some in the freezer. Are you okay with frozen grapes?
I love that. I have
Yeah.
mandarin.
all right,
Okay.
we'll do that after this.
We will
then.
fulfill that part of the contract
All right,
as
thank
soon
you.
as this episode
All right,
is
that's
over.
fine.
Tiny, Austin, we did it.
We did.
I
We
can't believe it. Like
did it.
Power to the people.
Typically, we talk about stuff and we're like, hey, this needs to happen. And then by some twist of fate, it does. We did it again, boys. We spoke it into existence. It's all because of us. Take credit.
Yeah.
We did it.
Not only did we accomplish our goal in just destroying this new OGL 1.1, 1.2, 2.0, anything outside of 1.0, we got them to release more in the SRD.
Yeah. And that thing, I went through it yesterday, and it is loaded. It's basically a player's manual and a DM's guide. Like, I mean, and there's so much stuff in it that is going to be under common or
Creative
the Creative Commons,
and the OGL.
which means
So
do
you-
whatever.
Yeah, you can pick from either one. You're covered.
Yeah.
And,
And to
that's awesome.
And to kind of catch people up in case they popped in this episode and didn't pop in last episode, we talked about the original gaming license.
Open
gaming
gaming.
license.
Well, the
yes.
original open gaming license.
Right. So you weren't wrong.
So it's the OOG.
The
Oh,
Oogle.
Yeah, the
Oogle.
Oogle, yeah. But we talked about that, and we talked about how unfair and how just grotesque the sound of the new gaming license that the D&D folks at Hasbro were going to be coming out with, and we spoke against it. We said it was a bad idea. We talked about how it shouldn't happen and why, who all it was going to affect, people that are using that open gaming license to be able to actually record their content, use that creative content that they've had from the Dungeons & Dragons kind of world to inspire them. They were getting charged for it. So that they did not go through with it.
Yep.
Power to the people.
absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
We as nerds
Put the pressure on.
put the pressure on and hurt a multi-million-dollar
Hell yeah.
corporation. They saw the money going down the drain, and they saw it all being funneled over to Paizo, which sold 8 months worth of books in 2 weeks.
Jeez.
Well,
that
it's just
tells
like-
you how much of an increase that they had.
It's just free promo, right? That you're trying to shut down at that point. If people are making videos and content about with your IP or whatever, I mean, I don't know. You could make a case that there's some sort of copyright infringement happening, but in my opinion, like
Well-
someone's making a YouTube video about your game or something inspired by your game, I feel like that's just like free promo for you.
Well, see, it wasn't
Or
even
your book or
copyright
whatever.
infringement. The original OGL said that they could lawfully use the content to make their own content.
Yeah, it was kind of it was an agreement with players.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us to this idea of like Creative Commons and public domain and things that are able to be used by other people. So they've been created by someone to make money originally, and then now everybody else gets to use it for something. And that's been the whole stink with D&D, and they have recently absolved themselves of that atrocity, except they're still not going to get back everybody. Like, there are a lot of people who have left for good because they already showed their hand, but they acted bad, so you want to punish them for it.
So they get a spanky.
They get a spanky.
They got
But
spanky
now
too.
they acted good, so do you give them a good spanky?
I don't
How does
know.
that work?
Good
That's
spanking.
No, they just had a spanky, so they need a pat on the head.
You vote with
okay.
your wallet as a responsible consumer. So
Yes,
I
absolutely.
feel like what the company's doing, then buy their products, I guess.
If they keep up with it, we'll see. Once they move on to this one D&D thing, that'll be another conversation. Once it comes out, we'll get to analyze that and talk
Get to
to all of
analyze
you
that.
about it at some point. But I'm going to go deeper into the public domain. I want to dive into it because did you know that under U.S. law, works introduced before 1978 enter public domain 95 years after they were first published? So anything that's been made and in existence for 95 years is able to be used for whatever you want. Like that original work. So, and this is something that I didn't know this, but as I was looking everything up on public domain, Disney has used so many public domain characters
have.
and stories and made them their own. And now they have copyrights on those versions of the characters. Like recently, I believe Winnie the Pooh was
the
at one.
Winnie the Pooh horror movie.
Yes, exactly. Now there's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's coming out very
What?
soon.
Yeah,
Yes.
have you not seen that or
We've
heard
talked-
about it?
No.
We've
Yeah.
talked about this.
I don't have TV.
Yeah, it's
have
like
us.
a legit, like it's like
How did I- how
the
did I
actual
not?
Winnie the Pooh IP is Winnie the Pooh, but it's like a horror movie.
Yeah.
But it's not like Disney,
But
Wow.
they can't
Whoever owned
use
it
the red shirt,
Right.
no pants version of Winnie the Pooh, but they can use.
They can use
Winnie
red
the Pooh.
pants,
Use a
no
name.
shirt.
Yeah, they can.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, the reverse
Is that-
Winnie.
is that
is
worse?
what we call that.
That makes them evil.
By the way, guys, when we rock the Winnie the Pooh look, it is not a good sight to see. So that is a horror thing in its own. Is me rocking the Winnie with just a red T-shirt on and nothing else.
Wow.
I did that moments
Specifically
before
red.
I came here.
Actually,
Why didn't you show up
he
like
didn't
that?
put clothes on until you
I
pulled
mean-
up in the car, right?
I stopped at the Speedway to get some tasty beverage. I do not feel like that they would have appreciated that. Also, Speedway not a sponsor.
Everybody thought they were for a second.
You've shown up to the podcast wearing nothing but a shirt before.
It's true. I have.
a very, very long
and-
shirt.
It's a very long shirt.
It's referred to as a moo-moo? Is that
No,
what they're
no, it was a grown man's nightgown, and I was being a little slutty because you could see my ankles.
Yes, you could.
It's a gam
I
gam.
couldn't take my eyes off of him either.
all the dry
beautiful.
skin down there. It was great.
kept telling me your
How
eyes
do
were
you-
up here.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it like tie in the back like a hospital deal or a front?
No,
front
no,
deal, or
it's
like a snuggie
it's like
slip over
imagine
full of-
a Henley T-shirt with
Okay.
the pocket,
That's
Yeah.
7 feet long.
but it just
Oh,
doesn't
so
stop
just
until it hits your
over.
ankles.
Okay.
it's absolutely and it has no flare to the side. It's just straight down. Honestly, he was just like just a special hat away from some religion. It doesn't matter. It doesn't
Shriner's
matter. You can define what religion he's in by hats.
was.
That's how close it was to the garb.
But you know what? Very comfy, not ashamed.
But that would be your copyright look of yourself on this podcast. I feel like that no one could take from you until 78
Yeah,
years
that could
later,
be your
or
gimmick.
95
From now
years
on,
later.
from starting next week, you need to wear the moo deal.
I need so many of them so I can have a different one, so I don't look like some gross person that don't do laundry.
And then like you get like a green one, and you can green screen you for an episode, right? And there's anything just randomly cut to you, and you've got the Winnie the Pooh horror movie just
I'm so
on you.
on board for
Playing.
this. Why don't we bring him along a little sooner?
Yeah, I know. You need to be a GG more
so
often.
many good ideas.
I'll be around.
I could imagine the hats changing also to go along with the themes of your week. So we got to get you a lot of hats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do holiday themes. You could do relevant Super Bowl coming up. Something to, you know what I'm saying? Just
Big
whatever.
sports guy. Tiny's real big sports
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
I am.
I hope we don't get
I
his.
love all the sports
I hope we don't
balls.
get his head stuck inside of a helmet.
Dude, put a helmet on with the moo dude. Okay.
Nobody's going to question
Now
it.
we're talking
Oh.
pop figures where we're going to have just a bunch of different Tinys
Just a
lining the
whole
wall.
line.
Yes.
I like this.
Do you guys want to blow each other's minds with like what Disney has used in the public domain for their things?
You know,
Yes.
And their stuff?
I haven't even thought about it, but it's going to probably shock me.
You're saying what Disney has that is now in the public domain.
None of this that Disney owns is in the public domain.
Okay.
They own the copyrights
Yeah,
to these characters
okay.
that they have spun the story the way they have, the look
Disney
of them.
version.
Yes, the Disney version is copyrighted, but the original work
Gotcha.
of those characters from the
Yeah,
Disney
yeah.
ones. Yeah. I wish I had a list of all the other Disney ones that aren't though.
You just like pull in some randoms and we just say true or false.
Isn't there like a really messed up like original Cinderella story that was like before Disney? Or maybe
Yeah.
I'm thinking of Snow White. One
Yes.
of those two.
Yeah.
I think it's Snow White.
It was a
Mulan
Grimm.
was too.
Was it?
Yes.
So many of them.
Cinderella was from Charles Perrault's
Oh, look
folk
at you.
tale
You've got
in the
your-
Grimm fairy tales.
Wow, just
Yeah.
like that.
The year 1697 to be
Amazing.
exact.
All that is just stuck in that man's head.
yeah, I don't have an
wild.
iPad
I
in
love
front of
it.
me at
No,
all.
Just a Rolodex up here. a
Oh,
mental
I can't
Rolodex.
tell. I just really I have no idea. So he can lie to me right now, and
Yeah, he can't see my face. I'm covered by
Right,
a camera.
yeah. Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Oh,
we got
no.
Brick wall of
cameras.
it.
Oh, hey
Tripod,
everybody! By the
tripod.
way, you get to look at me. Sorry.
Do you know Aladdin was what? Well, I guess Aladdin would probably be one that you could probably be like, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
Aladdin's
pretty
fairly
sure.
obvious.
it
Old,
would be.
yeah.
And the Hercules too.
That one's true.
The Aladdin
Hercules?
one.
Oh.
Yeah.
With the flying
If-
carpet and everything.
If 1001 Nights is true, that's the original work that Aladdin came out of. And I don't know that story whatsoever, but I do know it involved a genie as well. But so you could make Aladdin.
Shaq or was it Sinbad?
I don't. Oh man.
We can't talk about Sinbad. We can't talk about Sinbad. That didn't exist. We can't talk about it. Bad things happen.
Yep.
But the character of Sinbad is public domain.
Oh wow, look at that.
So
Is that right? Like the original Sinbad?
yeah,
Okay.
I saw that today.
Oh, like not Sinbad the comedian, like Sinbad the sailor character kind of
I'm
thing.
not here to make those distinctions. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, if we could take Shaq and Sinbad and make Shinbad, then we would have our own version
Well, then
of
you just
the
have
genie.
Cotton Hill.
What is that?
Shinbad. He's got no shins because he killed.
He killed 50 men.
They took my shins and Iwo I killed 50 man.
King of the Hill. Got it. Yeah. Thank you for that impersonation because I had no idea at the start. Incredible.
That was beautiful.
Alice in Wonderland, another one. The original artwork for that is really cool looking, by the
Really?
way. And
Yeah.
it does
Really trippy kind of
they
looking.
yeah, kind of trippy.
Yeah.
They were able to take the vibe of the original Alice in Wonderland once it was in public domain and make it their own, but it still it still kind of blends with that original idea of it too.
Yeah, I mean even the Disney movie that the VHS cartoon back in the day was pretty trippy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely, especially when they were smoking that special stuff that Mr. Caterpillar had.
Yeah, yeah.
It got real
that
weird.
CBD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
it was
that's-
legal CBD
it
in
was CBD.
Alice in Wonderland's
Delta
world.
Delta A.
You know, it's always funny though whenever you see somebody smoking pot publicly now because they do that now, and you like wow, that's ballsy. Like it smells like skunk over here, huh? It's like, oh, it's CBD.
Yeah, right.
Like you're
You're an asshole.
yeah. People just recreationally enjoy CBD,
CBD
blunts.
joints,
That's
yeah.
thank you.
Hey, now, well, I mean, no slight if you really do, but nobody does.
If the caterpillar is in the original Alice in Wonderland, which I don't know if it is or not, you could totally make the trippiest thing you want to using Alice and magic cartoon weed and the which there's no way that was weed. That was like LSD or something, right?
Well,
I mean, that was
they
something
also had
laced.
references to mushrooms in there.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta eat the piece. One makes you big, one makes you small. All that. But then again, Jefferson Airplane has corrupted the way that I think of Alice in Wonderland because of that stupid song with the vibrato for days.
I don't know this song. Why
I
don't
don't
I know
either.
any of the
Just ask Alice when she's 10 feet tall
Now I know.
in your head.
I still don't know.
No,
And
that
I'm
was a
glad
really
I
good.
don't.
That was a really good impersonation of it too.
That's the stupidest, but she had the strongest dumb vibrato that was just wavering up and down like 20 cents of vibrato. Like,
You know the cute deer whose mom dies at the beginning, and then you're real sad, and then they have a story with a skunk and friends.
yeah, Bumble.
Bumby. It's Bumby.
Oh, Bambi.
Ooh, we could make yes,
Bambi.
Bambi
Gumby.
is the original Bambi story is public domain, but we could make Bumby to where it was a bum. It was a deer that's a bum as well.
Or Bambi with a dump truck. Bambi with a big old dumpy. Call her Bumpy. Bumpy.
Which, if Pixar made a new Bambi movie, they would definitely throw a dump on
Absolutely
Bambi.
they would.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
There's no doubt about
And
it.
then the rabbit just walks out of the thick and that's why they call me Thumper.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I've had that joke in the barrel for years. I've never had an ability to use it.
That'd
So-
be the worst
but
adult
if-
entertainment movie ever.
If Bambi is public domain, then Ryan Reynolds should have no problem doing what he wants to do, aside from Deadpool not being. But he owns the rights to Deadpool as the character, though, as like cinematic portrayals. He owns the rights to that.
To his version
Yes,
of Deadpool?
he does.
He owns
Yeah,
the rights.
He
to
owns it.
The actor himself.
Ryan Reynolds owns it.
Wow.
So
That's interesting.
it gives him creative license.
cool.
It's because I mean he did Deadpool, the original Deadpool, out of he made that he made that what it was, and he did not want that to be tainted because of how well crafted that character was and how much he loves
Fair.
that character. So if he could take that, and he wants to do, and I spoke about this. Oh shit, it's
Robert
probably-
Downey Jr. should have done this with Iron Man. Sorry, continue.
it's probably about a year ago I talked about this on the podcast, but I'm going to sneeze now. Give me a second.
Bless you ahead of time. And bless you after the fact.
So, Ryan Reynolds wanted to make a Deadpool 3 trailer that involved him using his time machine that he has, his time belt thing, to go back and to confront Bambi's mom's killer. And he was going to tie him up and torture him and all this other stuff. Yeah, just
How could you?
And he was gonna, but the reason he was gonna do this wasn't because he was gonna, he was hateful and spiteful for the man that killed Bambi's mother. He wanted to know how to better himself as a villain because, give me your secrets. Tell me how everybody hates you so much.
Wow.
How could you do it? How could you do it? So, with that being open, he could do that. Wouldn't that be something to
Yeah.
see?
He could.
I would. I mean, hell, Disney Plus has released worse things. I watched the Santa
Would
Claus.
he not just? He has the ability to go back in time.
Yeah. Well,
Would he not just go back and kill Bambi himself?
I mean,
oh no.
The answer's right there. Maybe that's why he hasn't done it.
Get it like a selfie video of it. Like, hey. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Oh, he would. And hashtag your mother can't be with you anymore.
then every time you see him on anything else, he's just eating jerky.
And it was the sweetest venison he had ever tasted.
Beauty and the Beast is another one that was taken from public domain
Okay.
and Disneyfied.
Odd story
Which
when you think about it.
Yes, I was going to mention that
Super
because
weird.
she was down with Beast before she knew he was real boy.
Right.
Like
The book of
Real down.
bestiality.
with him. Yes.
It's called interspecies erotica. God.
Get the category right or don't talk about it at all.
You
Exactly.
ignorant, bearded.
And do you remember A Bug's Life?
Oh,
No way.
Dude,
Yes.
Yes.
Bug's Life.
Yes.
It's from
Wow.
Aesop's Fables.
Okay. Wow.
I don't know how much of it or like just the
I
idea.
mean, just the ants' struggle, maybe in general.
Ants was a different movie.
Well, yeah.
Remember
I'm not, sorry,
the-
I'm
I mean,
not
there
talking
were
about
still ants in A
but
Bug's
the-
Life.
they
True,
were
true.
the struggle of the ant in general. Maybe ants
Right.
came from Aesop's Fables as well.
Maybe it did.
And they're just two different takes on the same, and they're not actually just rip-offs of each other. They're both just rip-offs of the OG.
Man, because they came out
Somebody look that up.
I think within near months of one another.
Ants was definitely second. Bug's Life was before Ants.
Yes.
I know
Whoa.
Ants was for grown-up people more.
I just had an epiphany. So Ants is about the struggle of the little guy versus the big guy, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's
Didn't
Bug's
we
Life.
just do that with Wizards of the Coast? Didn't we just do
We
a
antsed
real
them?
life Bug's Life?
Wow, look
We
at
got
that,
ants in
full
their
circle.
pants.
we did.
We pantsed them and antsed them.
Whoa.
Bugs Life ruled, by the way. Did anybody play the
yeah.
PlayStation 1 game?
The hardest game ever.
No, I didn't.
Oh, dude, it's a iconic PlayStation.
Does
1
it
game.
play through the movie? Like, do you just play through the scenes, or is it its own
more or
little,
less?
like,
I
side
mean,
quest?
it kind of I mean, there's more to it than it's a longer game than an hour movie or whatever. But
Yeah, and just
there's
like
extra stuff.
like a lot of the games at the time, like because that was PlayStation 1.
Yes,
And PlayStation 1 and Nintendo
3D
60
platformer.
Yeah, and Nintendo 64 was releasing games at the same time for stuff, and they both had the same problem with some of their biggest like doo-doo games, to where they would they would put all this stuff in there, but they would not tell you a damn way to get anything done. Like Superman, like
On 64?
yeah.
Impossible.
You couldn't just go to Google at that point in time in history, unless like when did Bugs Life come out?
I don't
Maybe
think.
maybe some people could at that point,
I
but
had-
the average consumer probably couldn't just go on the internet at that point. And
I had-
don't know how that. What's the walkthrough for this video game?
Dial
You couldn't
up-
watch somebody on YouTube play the freaking part for you, so you can figure out how to do it yourself.
I had dial-up internet and Cheat Code Central.
CheatCC.com,
Yes.
dude.
I had printed off so many pages of
Yeah.
cheat
Core memory
CC
unlocked.
for everything.
I spelled that wrong one time and got on this porn website, and my grandma got really mad.
That's all the internet is.
I was like,
now.
I swear to God, I was literally looking for cheat codes.
In your sex
7, 6, 7.
The internet has since the inception of the internet, it's always been two things: correct spelling and porn sites. You get two options getting on the internet. You get the roll of the dice or something else.
Dude, sometimes it's also whatever you put after the dot. Because whitehouse.com and whitehouse.gov lead you to two
Right,
very
yeah, those are
different
different
websites.
websites.
Really?
Yeah,
I've
at least
never
they
done-
did back in the day.
Prank your
I've
friends
never
with that
done
one.
the other one.
Yeah.
I tried to do a book report, and imagine my surprise at the school library
Yep.
when I tried to get, like a government source, and I ended up somewhere very different.
The Cinderella story is also from Grimm's Fairy Tales, which I
knew that, yeah.
I think I knew Cinderella was a public domain thing, but I didn't realize Grimm Fairy Tales is where it came from. Grimm's Fairy Tales, they've got a lot of stuff within that have been remade and reimagined over the years.
Disneyed?
And yes, Disneyfied. And because the original tales, they weren't very like something you read to somebody before they go to bed to try to fall asleep better, right? Because
Yeah, no.
wasn't Hansel and Gretel, didn't they get
a
eaten at the end of that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got eaten.
Yeah, the Grimm tales. I mean, they even spun their own genre, like Grimdark. Like it kind of spawns from the Brothers Grimm tales and the way that they would shape their stories and how they would have these well-developed characters and everything within them, and then all of a sudden these tragedies would fall upon them, and it's just the setting in general. So I don't know.
You might say it's a grim adventure.
So which
That very.
Ooh.
Is
Is
that
the-
where Grimm came from, do you think?
is there a Jamaican Reaper somewhere around here?
Possibly.
Billy and Mandy.
I love that show.
Which one? Billy and Mandy?
Yeah,
the
Grim Adventures of
the
Billy and
Grimm
Mandy.
Adventures, yes.
Yeah, it was so good.
Now, I wonder, is there like a common version of something like Grimm fairy tales? Like, is there a popular telling of fairy tales that are gritty and dark and don't end well? Because
I feel
I
like
don't
that was
know of
most of the
any.
original writings of them were just
Yeah.
grim and dark.
right, but I don't know if there are other sources creating things
Competitors.
like that. Yeah, like to Grimm fairy tales.
I don't know.
Because I think the idea of fairy tale has turned into more of a positive and
well, I-
light-hearted thing.
I think originally they were more like cautionary tales. They had like a moral reason for being there.
Yeah.
So rarely did they end well for the people in the tale.
Yeah.
Because it was to tell you like not to do this or to do this instead. Otherwise, this is what's going to happen to you. Like Mulan, Pinocchio, insert mainly other Disney ones.
Yeah.
I mean, they just never ended well at all.
They were sitting there at the writing table and they looked at each other and they were like, do you think it's common knowledge that if you're a child, you should to wander into an old lady's home made of candy? And he was like, you know what? I don't think I've ever heard anyone tell someone not to do it. So let's make a cautionary tale to make sure no children
Well,
go off and get
I
eaten
think it was more about like greed and gluttony.
instead of wandering off into the
Instead
woods
of
and going
eating-
into strangers'
It
houses.
wasn't necessarily eating a candy house. Yeah. I mean, look, as a grown 35-year-old man, if I see a house made of candy, I'm gonna think about it.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Now,
consider taking
I
a
might
bite.
give it a lick.
Consider it.
Now, here's the problem, though. If it hadn't been for the don't go into the woods and eat the candy house story, we would have never developed into the don't go to the van for free candy. So it's a stepping process.
Had
We
to
could
start
we could have never
It's
taught
necessary.
you
Hold
know,
on.
and now it's evolved from free candy in a van to free Wi-Fi, and you can snatch them just as quick.
Well, I mean, in my van, I used to keep candy for me.
wait, just a big
It was
white
for
van
me.
with
I
free
never handed
Wi-Fi
it out.
painted on the side. Yeah.
Wi-Fi and fidget spinners. Get them all.
Free Wi-Fi and spinach. Spinach.
Spinach?
Wi-Fi, fidget spinners, Adderall.
Grimm's Fairy Tale, a Ford adventure.
Oh my god! Whatever you do, if you find a van in the woods, and it's got free
Don't do
Wi-Fi,
it. Free
fidget
anything.
spinners.
If there's
Free
a turkey
anything.
in the back of it, please.
Step away.
Oh
Right.
no!
Well, there's a turkey in the back. It's probably mine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Please.
And it's already been done.
Please leave the turkey alone.
Just don't handle the turkey. Just forget the turkey's there. It's been handled enough.
Chicken Little is also public domain, which is I just wouldn't think of a little chicken being afraid that the sky is falling would be over 95 years old.
Worst movie ever.
But it is. You didn't like Chicken
I
Little?
hated it.
Why come?
It was so bad.
Why? Because you don't like baseball?
Baseball. It was a very baseball oriented.
Do I look like
movie.
a sports ballman?
I mean, yeah, your
Sports
head's
ballman.
kind of shaped like a volleyball.
I like women's volleyball.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The daggum hot horn.
Shout out to my nephew who is on like the #1 volleyball team in his age bracket in the
On a women's
country.
volleyball team?
So
That's awesome.
on the boys one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's 13. He's incredible at it. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Frozen.
like a legitimate congratulations.
Yeah,
moment,
no,
not
it was
like a
really,
thing
yeah,
to
I
make a
had
joke
to,
out of.
had to
Right,
sandwich
my
it
bad.
after
Okay, well.
the hot horn.
I'd
there.
give him
Good
a
on you,
crisp high five.
Yes. And a $5 bill. He deserves it.
Yeah, I'll give him some of my pocket dollars.
You only have 8.
I can get
That's
more.
how much you care.
That's how much
Get
I
his
can
name
Once
get.
you
tattooed on my
realize how
ass.
special that was.
That's why he works every week. He ends up with 8 more pocket dollars that he can spend how he wants to.
Absolutely.
In the Frozen public domain version, it's called the Snow Queen, and the literal devil shows up. I wonder why they didn't include that.
The literal devil.
The actual, like the devil,
biblical
like the
devil.
biblical devil
Devil.
shows up
Biblical devil.
in Frozen, the OG Frozen.
Is God there?
I don't know.
Does he come in and run in? Jesus come down and Frozen and
I
run
don't know.
interference on the devil?
I'm thinking that Elsa is an agent of Christ who is there to defeat the devil, is what I would think.
Maybe.
That it would
You
originally.
fight
That's
fire
agent
with
of
ice.
Christ.
right. No, fire beats ice.
Yeah,
Unless
but
there's
then the
a-
water-
Unless
the
there's
water-
But then the
enough
fire will
ice.
turn the water into steam, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
just
yeah.
will go to
It
the
takes
up into
out
the
all the
atmosphere and then
oxygen.
come back down.
But then
It's
they
just
fall
a
in
cycle.
love.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
do
devil?
they?
And
Oh, in this version.
Oh, yeah. If Disney had their way with it, they could revamp the devil into something different. I mean, it could just be something from the underworld that's made of fire to come out to try to combat Elsa.
I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, but there's definitely a Disney movie that depicts the devil.
Oh yeah, Moana, that damn crab.
No, I'm talking about an old one.
I'm sorry. All
Like a
all dogs
animated.
go to heaven. Is that what it's called?
That's
Maybe
yeah,
that's
that's
it.
Don Bluth.
That one is terrifying. I think
that
I've mentioned
Disney?
it in the past.
It was not Disney.
I don't know if it.
Okay.
No, it wasn't
no,
Disney.
it was Universal.
But it was cartoon with a devil dog in it, and who boy does it still haunt my nightmares?
Yeah.
I don't much care for that.
You want to know a weird movie that probably didn't freak a lot of people out, but did when I was a kid?
Yeah,
The Little Toaster. That's what it's called?
yeah. Or Brave Little Toaster.
Brave Little Toaster.
So good,
Dude, that
We're
it was-
going to
might
find
as-
the master.
Might as well have been a horror movie to my young.
Were you
self.
afraid that your household appliances were going to come to life?
It was just the image of the main antagonist, that
Yeah.
big appliance man. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It was just scary.
Yeah, they feared him up pretty good. They
They
made him
got
pretty
me
scary.
with that.
I
Like,
mean, and when they got to the appliance shop and you got to see like all the discarded things that were just getting scrapped and
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
and then you get to the junkyard and you have
junkyard. That's burnt into my
like
head.
the junkyard with the race car. I was in the what is it? I was in the Indy 900.
How do you remember the song from the Brave
That's
Little
more than I
Toaster,
remember,
Austin?
But I remember the junkyard.
Who?
How?
Big hulking appliance guy.
I can
Yeah.
say to you, hey, I saw a guy today with a brown beard. He wears glasses. Where do I know him from? And you have no idea.
Yeah.
But you remember the song in the junkyard from the Brave Little Toaster.
What's your point?
It's incredible.
I don't.
A very
amazed.
selective Rolodex up
I
here.
want to test this power.
Oh God.
Okay.
Here we go.
You remember the movie? I think it was Rockadoodle.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Rock-a-doo.
Yeah, so at one point he plays the piano and
Yes,
he
he
sings
does.
a song.
Kiss and coo.
Wow.
I don't know.
You didn't even get the
I
full
don't even know
question
if
out.
he's right.
You don't even know.
Yeah, no,
I just remember it happening.
The song is called Kiss and Coo. It's him and Goldie. They're up on the swing that has the piano and stuff going on with it up on the rooftop and Kiss and Coo.
We're just gonna have to let our listeners tell us if he's right because I don't know.
There's no way he's
No,
wrong.
you picked it.
I don't think he's wrong.
You
I don't.
you picked a bad one because Rockadoodle was permanently ingrained in my brain, and that's one of the ones I could tell
I
you.
barely remember that movie's existence.
Well, my daddy told me how to sing, and that's why this voice means everything. And now, sun do shine, you better
You
shine.
shine.
Yeah.
And he's got a crow, and he's got a crow now. He lost his confidence, Tiny.
Yeah.
The sun can't come up if he doesn't
Oh,
grow.
It's coming up without him.
Yeah.
Lost a smile.
You're a phony.
It's if you haven't watched Rockadoodle, do yourself a favor and do so.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
would it be? Is that Disney or is that something else?
I don't know. It's not Disney. I mean,
Dre-
it's another Universal Don Bluth film.
Okay.
So
Is it?
I don't know.
Who made-
It's yeah.
Who made like the I'm just a bill? Was it Schoolhouse Rock? Who made that?
I don't remember.
I know it's not Disney, but
PBS.
Is
Yeah.
it one of those?
I don't know.
Probably,
I
I
think
think
it
it's-
might have been PBS.
there weren't
it's-
because there weren't many like dueling cartoon
Entities?
entities, makers, whatever back then.
Yeah, I think that Schoolhouse Rock might have been like a PBS production kind
I
of
think you're
thing.
probably right.
I think the reasoning for that would have been probably because there were so few channels that they
Yeah,
couldn't
fair.
really
Yeah.
like the network couldn't be like, well, we can put 2 out of our 5 channels to be cartoons.
Right. And it's not like there's an abundance of animators in that time to just go around you can hire to make cartoons. So.
Yeah, and even if there were, they weren't making any money doing it.
Right. Yeah.
So, and especially if it was for PBS, you probably weren't getting much money for it, but it was being put to
Yeah,
good
no.
use.
But yeah.
See, for me, I didn't even know that Cartoon Network existed until like later than I should have, because it was all Nickelodeon for me, and then I would get kind of bummed out whenever we would get to the point where they weren't showing the cartoons
Night.
during the day. Yeah, the Nick at Night stuff. I was
Yeah.
bummed about it, and then all of a sudden, I guess it was because we didn't have enough channels for me to get to channel 55.
Same.
But the nanny
Which
is
was
that what the show's
Cartoon
called?
Network?
Well, she was on Nick at Night. Francine, Nanny Fine, that's her name.
The nanny. The nanny?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
the
it.
nanny.
Fran Drescher.
Just yeah, hot ass. Yeah,
Yes, she was. Hit it. Hit it.
yeah. I'll take that one. I'll take that's why I like Nick at Night was her. Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, whatever. The voice doesn't
I'm
bother
right
me.
there with you. I
yeah.
Dream of Jeannie,
Barbara Mandrell.
Bewitched,
Oh,
Hogan's Heroes.
Hogan.
Look, no, that one was just
Hulk
good.
Hogan? Oh, okay.
Tropic. Thunder in Paradise.
Yes. I loved Thunder in
Ooh,
Paradise.
another Nick at Night one. I think the Lopez show.
George Lo-
George Lopez show. That
yeah.
was that ended up on Nick, his wife on that thing. Hit that button, brother.
This episode's too hot. It's starting to hurt every time I push it.
I'm having to
Fingers.
expose my white legs to help myself cool off over here. It's pretty awful.
You mentioned Hercules earlier.
Yes.
And a lot of, actually, I think all Greek gods, and I believe most, if not all characters, like biblical characters, are also in the public domain. So you can spin their stories however you want to. Neil Gaiman has a book called Norse Mythology. And
Yeah. It's actually really good.
It is. It's amazing. It's his own tellings of these stories, but an interesting thing, and I may have talked about this before, an interesting way that he went about it is he said he wanted to tell the truth in these stories, and they're just stories, but he wanted to be so, I don't know, spot on with the history of Norse mythology that he wanted it to seem like it could be something that was written back when the original stories were made.
Yeah, he did so much research for that book. Mm-hmm. It's very good.
Was the
Gotta
Bible
listen
at
to
any
it, check
point
it out.
ever copyrighted? Were any of these? No.
That was before copyright
Yeah,
could have
right.
been a thing.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So,
Well,
God had the
could have-
original copyright, sir.
right. Well, yeah.
yeah, it was
He just
almost.
didn't have any documents
It was-
on it at the White House.
It was
Right.
those 15
On
commandments.
WhiteHouse.com. There's no documents.
But I think that Disney got that Hercules thing just correct because, I mean, Philoctetes being played by Danny DeVito.
Yes.
The guy from Dodgeball that told you if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
Jeff
was the
Bridges?
he was the voice. I can't remember his name right now. He's
Dan Aykroyd?
he's deceased now, but he was also the voice of Zeus on there.
Oh yeah. And well, I guess I might as well get one of these. Meg.
Family Guy?
That was one of my like childhood cartoon crushes. Was Meg from Hercules.
Just because she was just playing hard to get.
No,
and
I get it. Yeah,
she was strong
I
on
see
her
it.
own.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She didn't need her.
Strong
She's not going to
woman.
say she's in love. She's not going to tell you and give you that power.
I ain't gonna tell you.
He ain't going to
Who
email
said
you.
I had Easter jelly beans?
Easter jelly beans?
I'll have to show you later. It's not appropriate
Please,
for the podcast.
Don't Google whatever he just said.
Don't do it.
Just censor it out.
I'm a freaky fat bitch. it's so good.
I just want to get the clip of you saying I'm a freaky fat bitch. I want to have that forever
I
in my
don't
life.
even
Then
You
you,
can have
and you can
it.
find that on thewhitehouse.com.
The Little Mermaid.
This is going off the rails real hard.
And Ariel, that's why I'm like, as it's going off the road, I'm turning the wheel like Little Mermaid.
I'm just here to mess
I will
everything up.
turn this damn podcast around.
Ariel and the Little Mermaid, both of those things are public domain, and we've gotten one cartoon of it and a sequel. Was there a Little Mermaid 2?
Don't ask me questions if you don't want answers.
I
There
kind of
was.
think there was.
I
there
don't think
was
it was a
the-
straight to DVD situation.
there was a Little Mermaid. There was Little
VHS.
Mermaid 2, Return to the Sea. There was Little Mermaid that was Ariel's tale.
How
that
many
was,
songs were in every one of the movies? And sing them all right now.
Oh man, I do remember a song from one of the lesser known ones.
sure you do.
Why? I don't know. I don't ask for this.
This is a good place for you to dump all that out.
I don't
and make
like
use of
it.
it.
Let it
It's
out.
just
Trauma
it's,
dump.
from the second one, Return to the Sea. That's revolving around her daughter, and they've got this walrus and this like little bird type.
Walrus?
Yeah, I don't know. He's some kind of manatee type of thing. It's Dip and Dash were their names, and Titanic, Dip and Daring Dash, adventurers / explorers. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm cursed. I'm cursed because it doesn't help with anything in my life. It adds to nothing. All it does is if I'm not in the right context, I get weird looks. Imagine growing up and just singing these songs, expecting people to just know what you're talking about, and then they just call you stupid, and they ask you to leave sometimes.
So I have another one.
Go on.
So there was this old cartoon movie. I think it might have been part of Fantasia. It may not have been. There was a clip of a man that was a walrus, but he was wearing a suit, and there was these little clams under the water.
That was the Walrus and the Carpenter. It was from Wizard. No crap. Did
you almost say Wizards of the
No,
Coast?
yeah, I did. No, it was Alice in Wonderland. There was It was the Walrus and the Carpenter were walking hand in hand. Little oysters.
What have you? We've broken him.
I mean, he's
What
right.
accent
That
is
one
that?
I
That's
remember. He's, look, I didn't remember it until he did it, and now I kind of regret it.
It's creepy. Like we were just talking about how that was from some Grimm tales, and that's creepy stuff to see because
true.
and not one of them was left. They ate all the little oysters. They befriended all these little oysters. They got them to come into their house, and they ate them all.
Why haven't you done
Brutal.
a single person play of reenactments of all these obscure?
wow.
Look, if we
Cartoons.
ever do a
Yeah.
live event, that's the opener. Just people just asking the most random, like cartoony prompt things that they can think of.
Yeah.
That's how we open the show.
You're more of a mind magician.
No, I want to see you reenact an entire.
Mind freak.
No, if you're gonna,
mind
I'm gonna have
Dress
to.
up in every
If I
character,
did
just
that,
quick
I'd
change.
have to cry because the only one that I can do verbatim is The Land Before Time and Home Alone. So that's no.
Watch it. I'd watch
and
you do
Phantom of the Opera, you can do that one.
No, I would sing the whole thing, and
Right.
nobody wants that.
Do you know that Phantom of the Opera is public domain?
Yes,
You knew this.
It was based off of a French novel.
So your sequel to it that you had been working on in the past, weren't you doing that? Because I know you were doing a Titanic sequel. You were also
I'd
doing a Phantom of the Opera
Yes,
sequel?
because they never fully showed that he died at the end. They just insinuated that he went down with the fire of the opera house. But no, later on in the movie, they added a extra thing they never had in any of the scriptures before, like any
Scriptures?
of the the scriptures. That's where you pull the definitives from, or the scriptures. So the scriptures of the Phantom of the Opera, that's where it ends. But in the movie, they actually added a black rose being added to Christine Daae's grave. That insinuated that the Phantom was actually still alive.
Whoa.
Sing once again with me.
So you could make the sequel and it's totally fine. Not the sequel to the film, of course.
I don't think
a
I'd
bunch
want
of
novel.
kids shows has made adaptations of the Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah,
it's been in public domain
it's
for a
awful.
while.
Long
Phantom
time.
of the Megaplex. That was a
Yeah.
Disney one.
Didn't Drake and Josh do one at one point too?
I don't know. I don't know as much about as many things as you think that I would. It's sparse, but yeah, it's like our pepper grinder that we have here.
Yeah.
It's either you get a whole kernel of peppercorn or you get little dandruff of peppercorn. That's
But
all.
the salt works fine.
The salt's
salt
perfect.
comes out perfectly. So Disney,
Just thought about Carly
What?
choking every time she eats something with pepper on it.
Oh yeah, she's getting a whole kernel. Is that what it's called? No, corn.
Corn.
The whole
Peppers are called
Peppercorns.
corn.
the whole
Yeah.
corn,
Corn
but a
kernel.
corn kernel. What's going on?
That'd be a spicy poop.
Moving
Corn
on from
doesn't
Disney,
digest.
just because there's so many of them. I mean, I've got a long list of them, but I mean, we've done enough of those. I want to get to the most important one, I think, of this entire list, and that is the original Frogman. Is public domain.
What?
So, boys, he's back on the menu.
Oh, boy.
We can have an official version of a Frogman as our mascot
Frogman.
like we originally wanted.
Can I?
Please, Tiny. Frogman is our official mascot. Get it!
Did it?
That was something to see.
Frogman lives.
Yes, Frogman lives. And the
Title of the episode.
I love it. It's done.
He's my boy.
He was from The Lost Princess of Oz in 1917.
There were so many Oz books.
And what he was originally, which we could use this version in our own way, he was a man-sized frog who's a major authority and the wisest resident of the people, these beings called the Yips. And which is also, I believe, a term
thing
in
for
the furry
furries.
community. Yeah, which I know nothing about, but I do know I've heard that word before. And the best...
I don't know anything about it, guys.
Donnie
I just
knows
heard
more
the
than
word.
we
I know more about it, and I'm not even in that community. I swear. No more about
It's
it
from
than I should.
whitehouse.com, I think.
It's very akin to that.
But the best part of him being the authority and the wisest resident of them is it's despite not actually being that smart and only knowing about dandy fashion and how to act smart. So they all put him in that role. So it's perfect whenever we talk about shit that we have no idea really what we're talking about, but we at least sound confident and we sound dandy doing
you
it.
need.
So he's a cryptid that
Yes.
he's a cryptid that's doing his best to fit in human society. So he's suited up and he's trying to just, reflect back these intellectual things that he's heard from people. And then he looks over to the camera, Jim from The Office style, and he's like, "That's how you act."
So we can have Frogman back. He can be ours. We can make him purple if we wanted
Yeah,
to.
I was going to say, how do you tie
because-
that in? Well, I'll get green grapes. All right. I'm
Yeah,
with
green
that.
grapes,
Yeah.
it's there, but
yeah.
also purple. And because the original version of him, he was just a frog, and he was dropped into this weird lake of magical squash plant or skosh plant. I don't know how to pronounce it. And then he was turned into the man-sized one that's, anthropomorphic and can talk and do all kinds of neat things. So we just have the frog that's been dropped into radioactive grape juice, and then we have Frogman for the show. It's easy. It's done. It's already written, but it's public domain, so we can use it if we want. And I'm very excited about that because I was worried that Marvel had him just in their grasp and we couldn't have him.
They've only
because
got their version.
They've got their version of Frogman, which is a superhero. And we can make ours a superhero too if we want. But he can just,
Yeah.
be super in fashion.
As a non-partial party, I vote yes.
Well, thank you. That's
Thank
all we
you.
needed, really. We just needed one vote.
See, we don't have to
Excellent.
take
Done.
it to the polls. We just have the polls already available now because we have non-partial.
Right.
Tony, did you know Bigfoot was
I
public
am the
domain?
poll.
Yes.
You did know this?
Yes.
I think a lot of cryptids are.
Just
Pretty
the idea
much.
of Bigfoot in general.
Just big. Just
Yeah, I mean, who would
Bigfoot,
have
yeah.
copyright on Bigfoot?
Right.
So-
Which, there are versions of him that could, because you make your own story, and then you're like, okay, this version of him, this is ours. But like Harry and the Hendersons, wasn't that Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
So,
a Sasquatch.
it was
like
a
Alien,
Sasquatch,
the,
right?
the Alien versus Predator whole thing. Like you can make Alien movies, but you can't make an Alien movie. You know
Oh
what
yeah,
I'm
you
saying?
you can't make you can make an Alien versus Predator's kind of thing, but it can't look like this,
Right.
it can't look like that. You've got to have your own original designs for it. And probably better lighting, too, because those movies were just shot so dark.
Dark as hell.
Recently, the rest of Sherlock Holmes had become public domain because Sherlock Holmes, like most of the works of Sherlock, all of his stories, they've already been in public domain for a while, but the last few that were remaining are now in that. So the entirety of Sherlock's stories
Canon.
are now able to be used any way that you want to. And we've already had a few different versions of Sherlock Holmes, like quite a few, I believe. And the most recent is actually Henry Cavill from Enola Holmes, which is his sister. And Henry Cavill plays Sherlock in that one. And in the first movie, he's not in it a ton, but I think he does a fantastic job of it. But then again, I'm a Henry Cavill stan, I believe is what they call it in the online community. I guess.
So that means he's like
Stan.
like whatever he does, he can
Like
do
Slim
no.
Shady
He just does. He does
Yeah.
well.
Just super fan, really. That's just. I think it's just now a derogatory term for a super fan.
Oh, it is. I was saying
Yeah.
I'm a Slim Shady fan.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
I'm
The
like a
original
real
Stan,
stan.
right.
Yeah.
Deer
Yeah,
stand.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Deer.
The
Did
song.
you say deer stand? Like in hunting?
Deer stand.
Have we
Is that
circled
one of
back
the
to Bambi
songs?
again?
Dear Slim.
We did.
Well, I thought there was one like he wrote way later, like Dear Stan, like
No.
replying to the letter.
No, he replied to the letter at the last part of the song.
Oh, was
Yeah.
that it? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what made it more sad.
I remember he said it.
Oh yeah.
At
Well,
least
no. The
once.
beginning of the song is Dear Slim because he's reading from the perspective of Stan.
Yeah.
Reading the
Right, he's reading out loud.
reading the note out loud.
Remember Mr. Peanut for the Peanuts? Mr. Peanut Man?
From
Top hat monocle guy.
Top hat monocle, Mr. Peanut?
the one that used to be on the most delicious snacks ever, and then they took us away, took him away from us.
They took him away from us. They killed him. They actually canonically murdered Mr. Peanut.
From Planters.
Who
That's
killed him?
Planters, thank you.
Is that how we got peanut butter?
Not sponsored.
Yeah.
Not a sponsor.
Yes. His death created peanut butter.
Not,
It happened within the last few years.
We are not sponsored by peanut
Brutal.
butter.
Might as well be.
None of it.
The concept of peanut butter, however, not copyrighted.
No? Well, yeah, because you can make whatever peanut
You
butter
can
you
make
want
peanut
to.
butter.
You can make all
Public
kinds of
domain
nut
peanut
butter.
butter.
Sell it.
You can make public domain peanut butter.
Ooh.
Can we do a mixed nut butter?
Public
I
domain.
don't think
mixed
I've
nut butter.
seen a mixed nut butter.
We should do one.
I wonder what that would be like.
Well, I mean, we could do some. We could do some almonds,
Okay.
some peanuts,
All right.
some pistachios,
Go on.
some cashews.
Yes. Can
Yeah,
you call
I'm
it
with it.
bar butter? Because like bar nuts, you got a bunch of
Yeah.
different nuts in there.
Yeah.
Our
We
butter.
could sell it to all the nerds and call it
Sunflower
barred
seeds.
butter.
Barred butter.
But then it's just a
Exclusively to
bar
be
of butter.
used during TTRPG games.
Then you would think just a bar of butter, though, correct?
No,
If it was
barred,
called
like
bar-
B-A-R-D.
Oh, barred.
Barred.
butter.
Yeah.
Oh, barred butter.
Like Spoonie Bard.
Who?
Like Spoonie Bard. That could be the mascot.
Is it public domain?
Clicked. The reason why we see so many Santas and Krampus is because they're both public domain. You can do whatever you want with Santa Claus. You can make him whatever story you want to.
Huh.
And I guess that's how. I wonder if Krampus. Surely Krampus is not older than Santa Claus, right?
Well,
I thought he was the
I
OG.
think so because
Krampus
it
was
was
original?
like it was an original like folk tale.
Krampus was.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was like
okay.
kind of.
I think,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right, no?
Krampus might predate Santa Claus.
I think
Yeah,
he does.
Krampus was a European folktale that basically was to keep kids in line, and then years later they're like, that might be a little too scary. People got a little wussified.
Yeah.
they're like, let's make a nice boy.
Let's
Yeah,
make
they
him
turned
drink
the
Coca
face.
Cola.
Yeah.
Leave it up to the
Then
Dark
instead
Ages.
of, beating you and taking you, it just leaves you a lumpy black rock that'll just heat your home and smell like doo doo.
Listen to the Dark Age people whenever they tell you how to raise your children. Raise them in fear. Let them
Yeah.
let them know that their next move could be their last, especially if they don't behave.
That was basically my childhood,
Amen.
I'm sorry, Tiny. I
except with a Goosebumps cassette player.
That I still cannot find online. I've looked so hard to get you one of these. I can't find it anywhere. I'm looking. I will find one.
I have
day. You
seen
will
one,
own
but it was not cheap.
Okay, so when I do find one, it's the
perfect pair to
I
the
mean, it was
Goosebumps
like
Choose Your Own
$400.
Adventure.
Ooh, yeah. Sorry, buddy.
Yeah.
I love you, but I don't have money.
I don't blame you.
I'm about to ruin the rest of y'all's week the way that Austin ruins mine frequently.
Uh-oh.
Cotton Eye Joe, that song. It's in the public domain.
Cotton Eye Joe. So yeah, so
All Austin has to do is walk in a room and go, hit admit.
that's all I gotta do.
That's all
It's a power that I have. I'd done a segment on the podcast several years ago talking about earworms, and the earworms are the things that just take barely anything to just wiggle their way into your head. And that's my favorite one is Cotton Eye Joe. The thing is, now I DJ weddings, and people unironically ask
Yeah,
for
now you
Cotton Eye.
have to listen to that.
Like they ask for it. And in my head, if Cotton Eye Joe's played at a wedding,
Not a really good omen for the wedding.
I'm telling you, I've got a video from a wedding that I DJ'd with. They all knew the Cotton Eye Joe dance, and they were out there actually dancing to the techno Cotton Eye Joe with the Cotton Eye Joe dance, having those legs flailing and all that stuff and everything. And I was flabbergasted, to say the least.
There's a dance. There's an official Cotton Eye Joe techno dance,
And that can be seen and available on our Discord if you.
well, now you got to do it.
Well, I mean, I can.
You have to blur faces.
Oh, never mind. Well, my video quality might do that for me.
Have you tried singing it to Dane in different musical styles, like say opera?
Yeah, actually, it's always that way. I never sing, I mean, unless I'm just wanting to aggravate him. It starts, had I been for Cotton Eye Joe, that's what I do. But then to myself, like in the shower after I've already screwed the pooch and got it stuck in my head, I'm in there just, had it not been for Cotton Eye Joe.
What I do love about his torture to me is it is torture upon himself as well.
It's a sacrificial bunch. Sports ball.
Good sports ball reference.
Sports ball.
There's going to be some weird public domain stuff going on real soon, including next year, because Steamboat Willie, the original Mickey Mouse, is going to be in public domain in 2024. And Mickey Mouse is pretty much just Steamboat Willie with, red pants,
Right, yeah.
and black suspenders and white buttons. And Steamboat Willie is like an icon for Disney's origins.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a character that anybody can do whatever they want with soon. And that's going to get really interesting because
Roll 34.
Disney's just so
Top number one.
There was a
Again, don't Google things Tiny says.
there was a copy pasta. I don't know if you guys remember those.
Yes.
That Suicide Mouse. That was like based off Steamboat Willie. It's like a really, really dark
Oh, boy.
Now somebody will actually be able to make that. That's
can
a
make
pretty deep cut internet
whatever they
reference,
want.
But
Disney's going to be like really zoning in on the people using Steamboat Willie too, because if it gets even close to Mickey Mouse,
Right, yeah.
the hammer will come down very hard on them.
Disney doesn't have lawyers.
Oh yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
no money, no
We hear a
lawyers.
knock at the door.
Yeah,
They
right.
just threaten you with no more movies. And they're like, okay, I'll drop it. Jeez, don't get so serious about it.
Hold on.
Is this you? Is this you going?
I'm
is
trying
this
to-
going to be just for
I'm
us?
trying.
Or am I
No.
gonna-
I'm trying to figure out if we can spin that to where they don't make any more Star Wars movies.
Oh, to where we can intentionally make them think they're
work the
punishing
system
us.
to make it work to our advantage. That's what I'm trying to figure out.
At some point in
Similarly
the
to
future,
the D&D deal.
whatever 95 years away from 1977 is, you're going to be able to do whatever you want with Star Wars, like A New Hope. And
Uh-oh.
95 plus 77. Well, I don't know.
I don't think we'll be
but
alive
That
then.
number, we might. You don't know. Maybe just the idea of being able to make whatever we want with the original Star Wars will keep us alive.
Elon.
20,
Figure it out.
2082.
2082?
Yeah.
Let's see. It's 2020.
no way.
It's only 60
We'll
years.
be creeping.
We'll be in our 90s.
Yeah. Well,
I'll be gone around 60.
yeah, right.
I'm not, yeah.
Don't let me go to my 90s unless I can do whatever I want with Star
Wait,
Wars.
70?
and then I'll
Never
be-
mind.
Look,
No.
I'm willing to crap in a bag. I don't care.
You know what ones
not
we
70.
will be alive for? More than likely, hopefully, if we don't doom ourselves on this podcast with the way that we're able to tell the future, Superman in 2034, Batman in 2035, and Wonder Woman in 2037.
Wow, that's really
That's
significant.
really soon.
Yeah.
and really huge.
Now, those versions of them are only from
Yeah.
the original year that they were made. And so, like the original Superman, he couldn't fly. He could only leap tall buildings in a single bound. So, if in 2034, which these things start the January of the year that they would that they would be renewed. So they didn't make it a specific date on whenever it was released or whatever. They just said, okay, on January the 1st of the year that it's out of public domain, that's whenever you get to use it. So with Superman, you can make there's going to be so much. I want to say fan content, but I mean even studios are probably planning on this to where they're going to make whatever version of Superman they want to, as long as he's not too close to the one that even came 5 years later after 1938, because I don't remember when they added flying to his abilities. I can't remember that exactly.
They started sneaking it in there to show him like falling and controlling like the way he was falling after the big jumps. Okay. No. So that's why his cape was such a crucial part, because they started off with him being able to jump, leap tall buildings in a single bound, but his cape was there for aerodynamic purposes so he could help control his descent. Mm-hmm. But then they turned that gradually into him being able to control it more, and then that became flying.
Which is another reason why Man of Steel is a masterpiece, because when he is in the snow, he is leaping very hard and almost getting it and then slamming down on the ground, and then finally he gets it and he's able to fly, and the smile on his face and the freedom of being able to do so, rent free right here in my brain.
Yeah,
because he was bound to fly.
He was, wait a second, earthbound to fly? No, that's the opposite.
No, never mind.
Learning to fly.
But what?
I
want to get it
like
though.
Like you're bound to do something.
Yes.
Like he was bound to fly.
Oh, I thought it was going to be like a joke, like that you're bound, like so you can't fly.
like he would eventually fly.
Right, he was going to,
but also because
he was
destined. Bounding.
Destined.
Oh, he was yumping. Yumping.
Okay. Another word for jump is bound.
Okay.
That's called a double entendre.
You did really.
That's some of the highbrow humor.
Yeah,
we're not used to that.
You leaped the tall building of my brain in a single bound.
Too close to the sun, and my wings made of wax.
Which Icarus is probably,
Icarus is definitely going to be.
Sure is.
Mythological figure, Greek mythology, definitely going to be in there.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Josh,
having me.
I appreciate you being a GG on the episode.
I appreciate you having me.
All of you that just listened to all of us speak for an hour on Spotify, iTunes, Good Pods, Catsbox, and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting pretty good at naming off of this, because Castbox was one that was out of my brain for a long time.
It took a while.
Anyway, keep listening there. There are 5 stars. Click 5 stars. Tell people why you love us. Tell people why you hate us. I don't care. Put 5 stars. That's all that matters.
Shit.
That's the only part that matters. You can just copy pasta, whatever you want in there. Give us 5 stars. And then go buy some shit that's got our logo on it. Just buy a t-shirt. You can make a hat on one of them, I'm pretty sure. There's a fanny pack. I think there may even be a duffel bag and a backpack. I don't know. You don't have to do all that, but get a t-shirt. They look cool, and I made the stuff for it, the art for it, and we would be appreciative.
Also, if you'd like to get on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter by looking up @Nerd Grapevine, you could be in contact with us on our social media platforms. It'd be a really cool thing if you've listened to this episode and you want to try my knowledge on these old animations. I'll send you a video. Just right off the top of my head. I won't even look up anything. If I know the answer, I'm going to give you what I've got.
You just set up like a Cameo type deal where you just submit things like, hey, what's this? And then you just immediately reply back, and that's it. Like you're on the spot.
Submit to me lines of this movie. Okay, I've got it. But an old boss of mine actually said that I couldn't do it, and I memorized the entire fireworks scene from Joe Dirt. So
who's producing, who's we don't?
I had a teacher once tell me that I couldn't do a history report on Superman because he's like, you won't get enough pages of it. I made one twice as long as the assignment, and now he uses it as an example on how to write a history paper. We've proven the haters wrong, Austin.
And if you want to contribute to that, all you got to do is get on our Patreon account, getting on Patreon, looking up Nerd Grapevine, contributing a little bit to the cause in the form of a monetary compensation for all of our time.
You get a sticker for that as well.
You do. It's a shiny holographic Nerd Through the Grapevine
it's a
sticker.
Thick boy.
You get a sticker for being on the show.
Shit.
And
hell yeah.
That you'll have our admiration forever, in perpetuity, irrevocable.
Yeah,
and
start using that.
Yeah, we have to. Otherwise, it would, later on it could be overturned, and then we're going to have lots of uproar from the nerd culture because of how much of a following we have, and then it's going to cause us to have.
I've been sitting here this whole time trying to work out a burp. I drank 2 of these cans of Liquid Death, not a sponsor.
It's just water.
Right before and at the beginning of the it's sparkling water.
Oh, is it? Okay.
The white can is the doo-doo one that's flat. The
that's
black
the only one
can
I've had. It's just
is the
water.
one that's spicy. Yeah, the white ones are gross. They taste like metal. They cause me a lot of discord. Find us on Discord. There's a link in our description. It's down there. Click it. It takes you
Smooth
over
segue.
to our Discord where we do fun stuff. We've been playing some role-playing games. We've got a couple sessions left of the one we're playing right now. Then we'll open up to another one that's a different type. It's still a TTRPG, but different company. We're on there irrevocably live, uncut, uncensored, and irrevocably circumcised. And you can also find us on the YouTubes.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the time of the episode to where we ask the question that's been burning in everyone's brains. And since Marcus isn't here, it's going to fall upon our GG to answer it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, thanks for joining us. And when life gives you grapes,
Well, clearly you freeze them. I've been waiting for
Right?
my fulfillment of my contract, and they're in the freezer. So.
Oh, you're gonna get them.
Yeah.
They're so
You
good.
freeze
and you
When
know
life
what the
gives you
best
grapes,
thing?
you freeze them.
You know what the best thing about frozen grapes are is the fact that they hold their structural integrity a whole lot better when you shove them in your mouth.
You're so excited to say it.
Cool,
You
yeah.
can't get the word out.
Oh, it's the only thing as good as a glass grape is a frozen grape.
All up in your butt. I'm a freaky fat bitch.